This is a continuing series on the Swiss soldier knife. This time we're looking at the model 1951. I have one there on the sheet to show you where it falls in the lineup. There were three varieties of this model. It was produced from 1951 to 1960 by three manufacturers, predominantly Victorinox, Wenger, but also a Roethlisberger in 1956 and 57 apparently. So let's take a closer look at it. The knife remains the same basic design as the 1908 model. It just becomes a little smaller and a little lighter again. It comes in at 93 millimeters and 90 grams. I'll put a 1908 up here so you can compare it as far as the size. So it continues this trend of the knives getting a little smaller and a little sleeker, a little lighter, probably a little easier for the pocket. The reddish-brown wood fiber scales were continued into this model, and what gives it the different variations, focus problem, are a couple things. First of all, the hollow rivet was introduced on this knife, and that has a purpose. You'd tie a cord through it. They would hang it from their Model 57 rifle when a grenade launcher was attached to it. There was a scale along one of the legs on the tripod where the string intersected the scale that gave them a sighting on how far the rocket would launch, or the grenade. So that's really cool. I think earlier models like the 1908 or the 1890 that didn't have this hollow rivet actually had a grommet in their case or their pouch for the knife that could serve the same purpose. The other variations of this, the hollow rivet in this size was continued up through 54, I believe, and then because they had a problem with it coming out or cracking, they put washers behind it. And so you have from 1954 on some that have a larger washer around them. And then also in 1950, let me get my dates right here, in 1957 Wenger started using red Grillon scales, and Grillon is a proprietary name for their nylon. Victorinox refused to use that, so this is exclusive to Wenger. I think that's funny because Victorinox is now using a nylon handle on their 2008 model. But this gives you an idea of the washer or rosette that you can also find on the wood fiber handle versions, and so that would be your second, and then the red Grillon would be your third varieties. The tools are stainless steel, so it's easy to find nice pieces in this model in good condition. In 1921 stainless steel was invented. Victorinox started using it in their sports and officer models. Matter of fact, they changed the name from Victoria in honor of Carl Elsener's mother to Victorinox, Inox being an abbreviation for stainless steel. But they didn't use the stainless steel in the soldier knives until 1951. The tang stamp on this one is Wenger Inox. It's a Wenger. And some issues with that. You'll have to take my word for it. On the other side, of course, you find the date stamp. This is from 1953. There were several reproductions of the 1951 model and the 1908 model. I neglected to mention that in my last video. So if you want to make sure you get a knife that was accepted into the Swiss Army for use by soldiers, try to get a combination of the date stamp on the blade tang and the Waffen control stamp on the handle. That will pretty well assure you have the real thing. There are several reproductions of the 1908 out there made by Victorinox, and they're fine knives. They all have stainless. That's one way you can tell them they have stainless tools instead of carbon steel. So they look good. They look nice and new. And they were made like in the late 50s up to 1960. So they're an old knife in their own right. But again, they were a reproduction, an official reproduction by a manufacturer for civilian use. Back to the tools, we went back to a spear point blade instead of the clip point blade. Same style can opener, just a little smaller. Again, that can opener opens the top of the can from the side of the can. Screwdriver changed a little bit. Now has a notch, sharpened for stripping cables and wires. The awl remains the same, just a little downsized. You can see how nice and clean those tools look, even for a knife of this age, because they are stainless. Okay, well that's about it. I'm just looking at my notes to see if there's anything else I'd like to tell you about this knife. Let me just pull back in the Wenger with the grill-on scales. These are rarer. They were made only from 1957 on, and actually Wenger continued to make these, I think up to 64, well past when the 1961 Alox knife was introduced. So you could be a soldier, I guess, in 1962 or 3 and being issued your knife and expect to get a nice aluminum handled modern knife, and they might have handed you this. So they were still out there. And it's basically the exact same knife as far as the tools. Again, it's exclusive to Wenger. You'll notice the rivets are hidden like they are on the modern Swiss Army knives with these plastic handles. But it's a really cool looking knife. It's one of my favorites. It is also one of the most expensive and rare in my collection. They're not easy to come by in this shape, and I'm kind of proud of that one. But that's it for today. I just wanted to go through the 1951 and the 3 different varieties. I hope that if you're a collector of these knives, you found that helpful in some way. If you have some information that you can add to the mix, please feel free to do so. And have a great day, and have fun collecting.